You have been noticing the movements. Someone who was a consistent presence in your life has suddenly gone quiet in a way that feels different from ordinary distance. Not a withdrawal you can explain with external circumstances, but a pulling back that has the quality of something completing rather than just pausing. And somewhere else, in a different part of your relational landscape, someone has appeared or reappeared. Either a person you thought was gone returning in a form that feels surprisingly significant, or a new connection that arrived recently and has a quality you can't quite account for, a feeling of recognition that is too specific to be casual, as if you have not just met but resumed. And you've been turning all of this over in your mind, trying to understand the logic of it. Why now? Why these people? Why the specific arrangement of presences and absences that your relational life has been showing you in the last week? The logic exists. It is not the logic of circumstance or coincidence or the random movement of people through lives that intersect without particular meaning. It is a deeper logic, a precise one, the kind that operates according to principles you can feel even when you cannot name them. The specific gravity of certain connections pulling them back into your field, and the specific completion quality of others as they find their natural ending point. The movements you have been noticing are not arbitrary. Every one of them is being orchestrated by something that has been moving in the sky, working with the invisible architecture of your relational life, sorting, with a precision that will be obvious in retrospect, exactly who belongs in the next chapter, and exactly who has completed their purpose in the current one. I want to tell you what is actually happening, because understanding it changes everything about how you meet what is moving. Venus is approaching the karmic nodes. To understand why this matters, you need to understand what the nodes actually are, not as an abstract astrological concept, but as the specific energetic reality they represent in the fabric of your relational life. The lunar nodes are the axis of karma and destiny. They are not planets. They are the 2 points in the sky where the path of the moon intersects the path of the sun, and they represent the axis along which past and future operate in a life. The south node is the direction of what has been, accumulated patterns, completed lessons, the relational and karmic history that a soul carries from what came before. The north node is the direction of what is becoming, the purpose and destiny, and the specific direction that this life, in this chapter, is reaching toward. Every soul in a body moves along this axis, and the relationships in a life are not distributed randomly around it. They're organized according to it. Some people in your life are part of your past. They carry the energy of what has already been learned, and their role is in the review and completion and release of old patterns. Others are part of your future. They carry the energy of who you are becoming, and their role is in the building and the becoming and the next chapter work that is waiting ahead. Venus is the planet of love, attraction, and connection. It is the force that determines what you are drawn toward, what draws toward you, and the quality of the bond between people. When Venus touches the nodal axis, when the planet of love and connection intersects the axis of past and future karma, the universe begins doing something that most people have no framework for but can feel immediately and precisely in their relational experience. It sorts. It begins identifying with karmic accuracy which connections are aligned with where you are going and which are complete, and it begins moving energy accordingly, pulling the forward-aligned connections closer, creating the natural completion of the ones whose purpose has been served. This is what is happening in your relationships right now. Venus is touching the karmic axis. The sorting has begun. Nothing moving in your relationships right now is random. That person who went quiet, the pulling back you noticed, the withdrawal that has the quality of completion rather than pause, that is not coincidence. That is Venus on the nodes identifying a connection that belongs to the south node, to what has already been learned, to the karmic chapter that is completing. The connection may have been genuine. The care may have been real. But the energetic purpose of that person in your life, what they came to teach, what the dynamic between you is building toward, what the specific lesson carried in that connection was, has been learned. And the universe, which does not allow energy to remain attached to completed purposes indefinitely, is completing the circuit. The withdrawal is not rejection. It is completion. It is the universe moving what has served its purpose in the direction that allows both of you to be available for what comes next. And the person who reappeared, the one who came back in the wake of the recent extraordinary cosmic movements, that is also not coincidence. A Venus on the node's reappearance carries specific karmic weight. Something between you is not finished. A thread was left unresolved. A lesson was only partially learned. A connection that was seated in a previous period has arrived back in your field because its purpose was not complete when it left. The reappearance is not a random second chance. It is a karmic return, organized by the same precision that is moving everything else, offering the specific completion or the specific next chapter that the previous period was preparing for. And the new connection, the one that arrived recently with the quality of familiarity despite being new, with the specific recognition that is too precise to be casual, that is a North Node arrival, a connection aligned with where you are going, carrying the energy of who you are becoming rather than who you have been. The unusually familiar quality of it is the soul recognizing what is aligned with its direction, what carries the frequency of the purpose ahead rather than the patterns behind. North Node connections always feel like this, simultaneously new and somehow known, arriving at the right moment in a way that makes the timing feel inevitable once you have the framework to understand it. Venus on the karmic nodes creates two simultaneous movements in relational life, and they are both happening right now in the specific landscape of your relationships. They look different and feel different and require different responses, but both are acts of love from the universe. Both are necessary for the next chapter of your relational life to be genuinely available to you. The first movement is confirmation. The connections that are being pulled forward, that are deepening, intensifying, arriving with a new quality of significance, are being confirmed as part of your path forward. Venus touching the North Node in these connections creates a specific energetic endorsement. A cosmic yes. The universe is not just allowing these connections, it is actively drawing them forward. What you feel in the presence of these people, the specific quality of resonance, of being genuinely seen, of your energy meeting their energy in a way that produces something larger than either of you alone. That quality is the Venus North Node confirmation speaking. Pay attention to it. Lean into it. These are the connections that are being called forward into the next chapter. The second movement is completion. The connections that are naturally ending, the ones where the energy has been withdrawing without clear external cause, the ones where something between you feels finished even if neither of you has explicitly named it. Those are being completed with karmic precision. Venus touching the South Node in these connections is not a punishment, and it is not a rejection. It is the universe, with enormous love and accuracy, identifying that the purpose of this connection has been served. The lesson has been learned. The growth that was available through this specific dynamic has been completed. And in the specific language of energy rather than words, the connection is releasing its hold on both of you, so that both of you can be available for what comes next. The completion connections often feel, from the inside, like loss, like something being taken rather than something being completed. But the Venus on node's completion is not taking, it is freeing. It is liberating the energy that has been invested in a dynamic whose purpose has been served, so that energy is available for the confirmed connections, the North Node arrivals, the relationships that are being called forward into the chapter that these extraordinary cosmic weeks have been preparing. The awareness that makes the difference in this transit is simple but profoundly consequential, knowing which movement you are inside. When you understand that the person pulling back is experiencing a karmic completion rather than a rejection, you do not spend your energy trying to reverse what the universe has decided. You receive the completion with the grace and the dignity of someone who understands that what is completing because its purpose was served, which means you served a purpose for each other. That is not loss. That is completion. And the energy you do not spend trying to reverse it is the energy available for meeting what is confirmed. The cost of resisting these movements, of fighting the completion of connections that are completing, of holding back from the confirmation of connections that are being confirmed, is measured in exactly the thing you most want more of: genuine, aligned, next chapter relational experience. Every ounce of energy spent trying to hold on to what Venus on the South Node is completing is an ounce not available for moving toward what Venus on the North Node is confirming. Every withdrawal into self-protection that prevents the genuine meeting of a North Node arrival is a resistance to the very thing the sorting is trying to deliver. The universe is doing very precise, very loving work in your relational life right now. It is sorting who is meant to continue with you from who has completed their purpose in your story. And it is doing this not as cosmic management of your choices. You retain your agency throughout, but as the energetic expression of the karmic structure that has always governed which connections are genuinely aligned with your path forward and which are genuinely complete. Your most aligned response to all of it, to the person who is pulling back and the person who has returned and the new arrival and all the specific movements of the last week, is trust. Not passive trust, not the kind that asks nothing of you. Active trust. The trust that reads the movements accurately and responds to them consciously, allowing the completions to complete, welcoming the confirmations forward, meeting the North Node arrivals with the full, open, both hands quality of someone who knows the difference between karmic completion and karmic arrival. Who is meant to be in your life is being confirmed right now. Not eventually. Right now, in this specific Venus on the Nodes window, the energetic sorting that will shape the relational landscape of the next chapter is happening with a precision and a deliberateness that most people will only see clearly in retrospect. The movements that feel confusing or painful or surprising in this moment will, with the perspective of the weeks and months ahead, reveal themselves as exactly right, as the specific arrangement of presences and absences that your next chapter required in order to be genuinely available to you. The person meant to be with you in the next chapter is either being confirmed in the connections you have now, or is arriving through the channels that the Uranus in Gemini opening has created, arriving with the specific quality of North Node contact that feels like recognition rather than introduction, like resuming rather than beginning. The opportunities and collaborations and creative partnerships that are aligned with who you are becoming are finding their way through the newly cleared architecture of the last several days. And the connections that have completed their purpose are completing with the grace that karmic completion deserves, not as failures or rejections, but as the natural, dignified ending of a chapter that was real and valuable and is now genuinely complete. Trust the movements, all of them, the ones that hurt and the ones that surprise and the ones that feel like something arriving that you have been waiting for without quite knowing you were waiting. Every single movement in your relational life right now has been organized by a precision that is working entirely in your favor, sorting, confirming, completing, opening, so that the relational landscape of your next chapter is genuinely populated by what is aligned with who you actually are and who you are genuinely becoming. What is meant for you is being confirmed. What has served its purpose is being lovingly released. And what is on its way, the North Node arrival, the confirmed connection, the relationship that carries the frequency of your actual future, is approaching through a path that has been cleared by everything that has moved in these extraordinary recent days and weeks. Trust what is moving. It is more deliberate than you know.